my plane lands here in South Florida just a couple days ago, I get a text from a buddy of mine who scouts for an American League team. And he says, "Hey, looks like your Buccos are in trouble." I didn't know what he meant. Good morning to you. Good Monday morning from Sunrise, Florida. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Pirates. Comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or hockey, I also offer daily shots. Steelers and Penguins in the same place that you found this. Pirates conclude their Grapefruit League schedule today in Fort Myers. I'll be over there covering that. That's across Alligator Alley from here in Sunrise, where I was covering hockey, Penguins versus Panthers, last night. And I'm not going to lie, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to being back around the team. That means today. That means a practice that they've got scheduled for Wednesday, back here on this side of the state in Miami. And then, of course, the 144th season opener Thursday against the Marlins. And yeah, there's some things that are concerning. So the text itself from the scout did not throw me. But probably just like you are, I wanted to know what he meant. Like, what was he referencing? Because it feels like it could have been any number of things. Was it, for example, that Jared Jones is having some sort of elbow issue? We're going to find out this week the extent of that. And that was the first thing I asked. And he comes back with, well, yeah, that too. Okay, so was it that they don't have a first baseman, really? And now, formally, as of yesterday, are going to be trying Endy Rodriguez out at that position as some sort of fallback for Spencer Horwitz, or who knows, platoon option, whatever, since he's already got the backup catcher's job since Henry Davis and Jason DeLay are both down. So I said, is that it? Is it that they don't have a first baseman? He goes, well, no, not just that. All right, dude. Stop playing with me here. What's the issue? He said they can't hit. And we have a healthy enough relationship that I can tease him about stuff like this. And I said, really? That's what they taught you at scouting school? That this team isn't going to be able to hit? He goes, I'm just saying, man, they can't hit. I don't know where it is that they think that they're going, but they can't hit. And you want to know something? He's right. Even if it's not some, great revelation, it's not something that required some expert eye or deep dive statistical analysis. But what stinks is that the same guy told me a year ago in Bradenton, whenever a lot of us, myself included, begun getting fooled into thinking that they might hit, both collectively and as individuals. And he said, there's one guy on this team that's going to hit for you. That's Brian Reynolds. There's one guy on this team who's going to bring you consistently professional at-bats. That, of course, is Andrew McCutchen. And there's one guy for you who can realistically burst into being something more, and that, just as obviously, is O'Neal Cruz. And then that's it. The end. And that's a tough place to be. With a healthy Jones, that's a tough place to be. With a healthy Jones and Bubba Chandler arriving sooner than maybe most will currently expect, it still doesn't add up. It doesn't add up to being competitive, let alone contending. Oh, you'll see spurts. You might see it in the opening weekend. Sure did last year. I covered that series down here, all 4 games. Pirates left here at 4-0, flying high. Of course, back then, the Marlins were fresh off a surprising playoff appearance. And now they're fresh off, the big mess that they made in 2024. And then, after the Marlins, there's 3 games against the Rays in Tampa. Then they go home and open at PNC Park against the Yankees. This won't take long, meaning to see, what all would need to be addressed, and then from there to accept anew that it's not going to be addressed. At which point, the scout and I were going to have to sign off because I was going to have to traipse my way through North America's worst airport. No, it's not the worst airport. Toronto's is the worst airport. Miami's is second worst airport. But I was going to have to get going and, began saying our goodbyes and whatever. And he asked what I thought this means for management, meaning if things don't go well. And I told him, I think they're gone. Well, what if Jones is hurt and they have a built-in excuse? I said, I think they're gone. Because whether there's a Jones or not a Jones, as I just laid out for you guys, they're going to be responsible for having exactly the offense we just discussed. By the way, those three players that I mentioned, Reynolds, Kutch, Cruz, all acquired by Neil Huntington. He's been gone for half a decade. When we come back, J1Q.
It's Gun Storage Check Week. Help prevent unwanted access to your firearms. No one wants their unsecured gun to be used in an accident, a suicide, or a crime. Use lockboxes, safes, and locks to secure your firearms. Learn more at gunstoragecheck.org. That's gunstoragecheck.org. Brought to you by NSSF, the Firearm Industry Trade Association.
Today's J1Q comes from Ed, who says, DK, first and foremost, thank you and everyone at DK Pittsburgh Sports for the very thorough and even-handed approach to the investigation of the Pirates' finances. Like you, and I suspect the vast majority of us, I'm shocked by the result, which brings me to my J1Q. How do we get out of this mess? I had my pitchfork ready to go, ready for the article showing that the Pirates were making tons of money and just misusing it. I know that the ultimate solution is to fix baseball's economics, but short of that, I don't know how this gets better. My general policy on this, and I've said it so many times that I feel like apologizing in advance when I repeat it for those who've heard it a million times, is that I don't like to tell people how to feel. In fact, I really try to never, ever do it. I'm not going to do it here either, Ed. You can feel however you want about the article, up to and including, if you think that we're terrible at what we do and the thing was all misguided and whatever, we certainly got enough of that, which incidentally doesn't concern me in the slightest because I know what went into it and I know what came out of it, meaning the extremes to which it was confirmed. But what is there? The most constructive thing that I can find, and I'm speaking for myself here now, again, not what you should do or anybody else should do. I think a lot about the salary cap as it applies to Major League Baseball. Want to hear something funny? There's a guy who shall remain nameless, but who does stuff for Forbes magazine, who saw my references in that special report to how Forbes does things. Meaning Forbes doesn't have any numbers. Forbes doesn't actually seek any numbers. Forbes has an estimates model. I'm not guessing at this. I've been told this from people inside the magazine. They just plug and play various numbers and various general slices of information, factor in inflation, factor in other elements such as COVID when it hit and things like that, and presto, numbers. And everyone says, whoa, Forbes, the preeminent something, something, something. No. Okay. No. So the guy sees the report, and he and I had it out previously online back when I was pushing really, really hard for a salary cap. Those of you who've been with this program for a while know I once spent like 2 months straight on salary cap subjects before the most recent labor agreement. And this was back then, flipped on me. Oh, how can you this? You're anti-union, you're whatever. As if anybody takes a subset of millionaires as somehow falling into a union spirit. I'm from Pittsburgh. I'd like to think I have a pretty good idea in the birthplace of unionism, how and why it came to be. It wasn't so that Scott Boras could fight for bonus clauses. Anyway, he was totally nuts. Right? Eventually, I just had to tune him out. I don't remember if I muted him or blocked him or rocketed him to the moon, but I tuned him out completely. So he shows up this week on my Facebook page. Just going completely berserk. You're an owner lover. You love the owners. Like, I could care less about any of the owners in any capacity. Looking for a fair game here. That's all. There's nothing else to it. I don't hear fans whenever they're clamoring for a cap. Of course, there's now more of those than ever. Hoping and praying that it'll be for the greater wealth and well-being of Hal Steinbrenner. Like, why would that cross anybody's mind? They just want the game to be fairer than it is. They want baseball to be like the other sports in their lives, all of which are contested on a relatively even financial field. And now that the Dodgers have come along, and to a smaller extent the Mets, and I only say to a smaller extent because the Mets have been hit with all kinds of rotten luck and lousy baseball decisions and whatever else, or we'd be talking about them in the same way. Well, now all of a sudden you have the Yankees worrying about it. You have the Phillies worrying about it. You have teams that never used to have this sort of thing even come up. The Red Sox are losing players. Well, December of 2026, which is not that long from now, it's less than 2 years away, brings with it the end of the current labor agreement. And from everything that I have heard, and I've actually heard quite a bit, which surprises me in and of itself, this is the one. This is the one where the owners are going to stick together. This is the one where the owners, who are the only ones who can make work rules since they own the league and they own the member teams, will band together, in all likelihood, force the union in some capacity, whether it's through a lockout or a strike or whatever it is, to capitulate. Everyone says the union will never go along with it. Of course they won't go along with it. Which other union went along with it? Do you think the NFL and the NHL went along with that? There was blood, man, each time. Oh, they're going to have to shut down baseball for a year or two. Okay, and? That's where I'd go, Ed. I'd go there full bore. I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Pirates. Do another one of these tomorrow.